Chris Carter.
Chris Carter retired, I believe, is number 2 on the all-time touchdown list behind Jerry Rice. Number 2 in yardage, number 2 in receptions, and then, everybody likes a redemption story. So for him to go from just catching touchdowns in Eagles land to really being an all-around good leader and locker room presence to match the production and talent, I think that he's more than substantiated his case to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And here we are on ballot number 5. But as the infamous Rick James said, cocaine is a hell of a drug. So
PJ, Chris
it
Carter.
is.
Bragging from the HOF.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna have to go HOF on Chris Carter. I think he's a very good. He was a very good receiver. As he slowed down speed wise. Not that he was ever a burner, but yeah. I mean, he's a good possession receiver though. I mean, he had great hands, caught an exotic amount of touchdowns. Yeah, I would put him in. there. I mean, based on his statistics and what I've seen, he passed my eyeball test to be considered one of the best receivers that I've seen. Not the best, but one of the best that I've seen. I would put him in there. I would put him in the Hall of Fame.
Damn, what you think?
And
put that question up on Facebook too, man, when you get a chance.
Okay, I got you. All right, now I think given his body of work, career-wise, he's on par with James Lofton, who's in the Hall of Fame, Steve Largent, who's in the Hall of Fame, Art Monk, who's in the Hall of Fame, Raymond Berry, and Paul Warfield. And those guys are Hall of Famers. He should be a Hall of Famer. And like I said, like Brad alluded to earlier, he finished number 2 on a lot of the receiving list.
He liked that witty Hutton.
Chris Carter, like you guys said, like PJ said, he was never really fast. He had great hands. I think he was a great possession receiver, and you could throw the fade to him anytime you want to. But I'm actually on the borderline with Chris Carter. Like, he's accumulated some good stats, but I think being on the borderline, I think I'm going to give Chris Carter a FOH. It's not a strong FOH like I would sit somewhere and like just straight up argue against him getting into the Hall of Fame. If he gets in, I'll be happy for him. But I don't know. The first half of his career was basically, I don't want to call it a wash, but like Brad said, the first half of his career he was on coke. I wouldn't even put half though because he only played in Philly. He was only in Philly for 3 years. And in those years, he had 5 receptions, 39 receptions, 45 receptions. Then he went to Minnesota, had 27, 72, 53, 86, and then 94 is where he started to explode. He had 122 in 94, 122 in 96. Then it went 96, 89, 78, 90, 96, 73, and then 8. I mean, from 94 to 2001, I don't know. Those could be the makings of a Hall of Fame receiver. But I'm taking the whole body of work into account, and I can't give him the cocaine excuse. So I'm going to go FOH on Chris Carter getting into the Hall of Fame. FOH, wow. Chris Carter.
You make a pretty strong case, and I see the body of work argument, but within that time span from 94 to 01, his dominance was really it was clear. There's no arguing the fact that he dominated the game from his position, especially from a skill perspective. Because, dude, as you said, you're only blessed with so much speed. I don't know how he was able to run a speed camp and teach people how to be fast when he ran like a 4.8. But that notwithstanding, like, the dude worked on his craft. The only person that worked harder was Jerry. The only person that worked harder was Jerry. And his hands, all that notwithstanding, the numbers that he put up and what he meant to Minnesota was worthy of a Hall of Fame nod, I think. And then to look at the numbers he ended up with, you're going to take people whose body of work was more consistent through the years and look at the numbers and say, all right, he's worthy of the Hall of Fame. But how much more incredible is it for him to end up with 12,000 yards receiving over his career if he really did the bulk of it in only 6 years? And dude played for like 14.
Actually,
14,000. He finished with 14,000 receiving yards.
Yeah, 14,000.
Yeah, he was at 13,899. That's what I'm saying. The numbers, I think the numbers are there. The numbers are there. This is my question to you, B. Austin. Like, what did they mean, though? Like, with Chris Carter, I mean, I don't want to say, because I'm a fan, so I don't want to say that he caught a bunch of meaningless passes, but what did they mean? And I know, I'm not the one in football. I'm not going to punish him for not winning a title, especially
a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, that's wide receiver is the most dependent position in sports.
I think as dependent as the position is, he was as influential and an integral cog in the machine in Minnesota as you can be playing the wide receiver position to them being a competitive franchise. And again, as you've often pointed to, the fact that football is such a true team sport in every sense of the word. You've got 53 players, you've got 20-some coaches and probably 30 ancillary staff members. It's like you really have a team of 100 people or more in a football organization. So for him, I think his contributions were major in keeping Minnesota competitive, because the only names you really heard were Randy Moss, Hot Pepper, and Robert Smith. I mean, offensively,
him and Randall was
Randall. Brad Johnson was nice. But you know what I'm saying? I think consistently through the years, for a decade, he was Minnesota.
Now, check this out.
But that's the thing, though. Even though his numbers were like that, I don't think I ever looked at him as being the second best receiver in the league. I never looked at it that way, even, when he and Jerry was in the league at the same time. And I admit, the second half of his career was a monster. But since I'm towing the borderline and everybody else put him in, I'm going to just go ahead and say FOH.
Kuwait, it's the war room with 5 nights at the round table, 5 Philly